Good afternoon, everyone. You are very welcome to this afternoon's MU Live. Delighted to be here today, this Friday. Also delighted to be joined by Gemma Lynch, who is the Outreach Officer at home at the moment, but works on campus. We're also delighted to be joined by Richard Flynn, who is a current computational thinking student. He's in his final year. So he's going to talk to us about his experience at Maynooth, what it's like to do computational thinking. So if you've any questions for Gemma or Richard, you can pop them in to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Deirdre, my dear colleague from the admissions office, is also working away in the background there. She'll pop in any useful links that we have for you as we go through this afternoon's event. My name is Fionnuala Finnegan, and I also work in the admissions office at Maynooth, and I am the student recruitment officer. And the session is being recorded. So for anyone who may be signed up but just got tied up elsewhere and can't make the actual event here today, we will have it available, as I said, maybe next week for you to download. So I think that's it. Any questions, as I said, you can pop them into the Q&A box. And listen, I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to hand over to the experts. So whenever you're ready there, Gemma, you can give us your presentation on Here and There and the Maynooth Access Programme. So thank you so much.
Lovely. Thanks, Fionnuala. Hi, everybody. You're very welcome here this afternoon. I'm delighted to be here with Richard to share with you a little bit of information about the Here and There entry routes into college and into Maynooth, and also about some of the supports that we have through our own office and also generally across the university. There's tons of supports. I just want to start by saying, if it's your first time to hear about Here and There, or if it's your 51st time to hear about Here and There, they are quite detailed, and I'm going to fly through a lot of detail here today, and no one expects you to understand it straight off. I'm 10 or 15 years working here, and there's still things that I'm learning about the Here and There programs as I get asked questions. So don't feel too overwhelmed. Just sit back and listen to the information. There's a ton of information available on our own website in Maynooth and also on accesscollege.ie, and I have those web links for you later. We can leave the screen up at the end with some of the links, and you can follow up afterwards with questions directly to our office as well, or any of the participating Here and There colleges all have direct Here and There email addresses that you can contact. Just in relation to questions, if you're popping questions into Fionnuala, both of these programs ask us questions about our personal situations. And there might be things that you're dying to ask us in relation to, as you think about the Here program or the Dare program, or if you're in 6th year and you are applying at the moment, you've got questions about the last deadline, which is supporting documentation, which is looming on the 15th. I would suggest don't pop your personal details into the chat, because this is a public space, but you could follow up with us. We'll be back in the office on Monday, and like I said, our email addresses are at the end to contact, and myself or any of my colleagues will be happy to talk to you about your specific situation. But this would be a public space, and it wouldn't be private for you to talk about your specific. But if you've got questions just generally about what did you mean when you said about that indicator, or how does that work, or how do the reduced points work, then I'm happy to talk about any of those here for everybody, because we'll all learn as we're going along about it. So if that's okay, just to get that housekeeping out of the way. So what we're going to share today is just a little bit of information about who I am and where I work. The two key pathways to Maynooth from the Leaving Certificate are really the Here entry route and the Dare entry route, and they're part of the CAO process. And then Richard's student experience at Maynooth, which is the real, important information about, once you get into university, what's it like to study in university, and what do students do while they're here? What's his course like? It's a very interesting and unique course that he's doing. And somebody might be interested to hear specifically about the course, and just to hear about the range of courses that we have on offer at Maynooth. There's so many courses that you could do, and Richard is just one example of them. Supports for students then generally at Maynooth University, and the types of supports that we offer in our office. So I am an outreach officer. I'm part of a team in the Maynooth Access Programme. We're pretty much split between outreach and post-entry. So I'm on a team of 5 people. There's myself and Declan and Emer and Zoriana and Megan. And we all have kind of different aspects that we focus on. So I work with DESH schools, and Declan would work with our community groups, and Emer would work with mature students and students in FET, and Megan works with traveller and Roma students, and Zoriana then is out with the College Connect program, out talking to community groups as well, and developing specific projects out there as well. And so we all, the synergy like across all of our jobs, but we do have those specific areas. So we're the outreach team, and we really want to share with people the many ways that you can get into college, how to get to college, and what supports are available for you when you do get into college. And we also have responsibility for helping you to transition successfully into college. So we run a great orientation program called Launchpad before the main college orientation for students that we support in MAP, in the Access Office. And then we sort of hand you over to our colleagues in the advisory team who support you when you come in. So there's advisors to support students with disabilities, mature students, students who come to the higher education access routes, traveller students, Roma students. We support everybody. And so we're a big team, but we are all working together to support you to get into university and to thrive while you're there and achieve success. So that's roughly who we are and what we do. And then just to start, I'll probably just start with the HERE program, which is basically the higher education access route. And if you're in TY or fifth year, you're probably at this stage. If you're in sixth year, you've probably addressed some of these questions for yourself. And that's, fundamentally, would you like to go to college? And then when you've thought about whether you'd like to go to college and not even thought about what course you'd like to do yet, where would you like to go is often the two big questions that people start to unpick with their family members and their champions in their lives and their guidance counselors very specifically in school. And then you start to ask, well, how do I get there? How do I get from here through my Leaving Cert and into college? And then how do I apply to college? And so you'd be familiar with the CAO process and the whole points process and how all of that works and the offers that come out in the summer. But have you heard of HERE? And if you haven't, HERE is the higher education access route. It's an admissions route for school leavers who, for social, financial, or cultural reasons, are underrepresented in third level education. And it was set up to ensure basically that all Leaving Cert students have a fair and equal opportunity to progress to third level. The next two slides will sort of put that into context. And we know from research that where you come from, where you live, and what your parents do for a living have a massive impact on the likelihood of you considering college, thinking about it as an affordable option for you, and progressing on to college. So in a typical Leaving Cert class, the children of higher professionals are significantly more likely to go to college than other socioeconomic groups. And I love this visual because it's really stark. You can look at statistics, but if you see it presented visually like this, the massive difference for what your parents do for a living can have on whether or not you go to college. And that's one of the reasons that the higher education access route was established, was to remove that as a barrier to you if you want to progress to third level. The other one then is where you live. So I can't actually see the slide here because the visuals just put me 1 second, sorry. 99% of students in Dublin 6 go to college compared to 15% in Dublin 17. And again, that's visually represented with the little people on the left. And it's quite stark, but geographically, where you live can have such an impact on whether or not, and the resources that are in that community have such an impact on whether or not you go to college. And we don't think that's fair. And I'm sure you wouldn't feel that that's fair either, that that's the kind of thing that would stop you going to college. And that's why the HERE program exists. And so there's a wide range of colleges that you can see here that participate in the higher education access route. And these colleges would also participate in the DARE route as well. You'll see the list for the DARE route as well. So they're all over the country and they cover a wide range of courses. And we're in there as well with all of the courses that we offer to students who enter the university through the higher education access route. So the message I guess we're trying to convey to you today is that there's something for everyone in college. If that's what you want, there's something for you in college. And whatever dream job you have in mind, there's a college course for that enhances your life opportunities afterwards, your earnings capacity, and the stability of employment that you would get afterwards by having a college degree. It makes a huge difference to all of that. There's arts, there's science, there's business, there's engineering, there's health sciences, there's medicine, there's IT, there's anthropology, there's sociology, there's psychology, there's computational thinking that Richard can share with us, so there's a course for everything. and a course for everyone. And then on top of that, and Richard's going to talk about it as well, there are clubs and societies. So if you're into athletics, if you're into Gaelic football, if you're into mountaineering or drama or film or dance, we even have a tea drinking society. We have a Chinese society, and we have other societies I'm not going to mention because Richard's going to mention that he's involved in as well. And then you can also volunteer and make a difference. And Richard is a huge part of another program that we run for our students called the MAP Ambassador Program. And without Richard coming today and sharing his experience, my talk would probably be a bit flat and bland, because it doesn't mean anything unless you can talk to a student and meet a student who has walked a mile in your shoes and come to college and grab the most of every opportunity that's available to him in college, and what that means for him and what it means for his future and for his plans. And so our volunteer ambassadors run everything with us. They run our orientation program, that Launchpad orientation program. They design it and they deliver it. They come to all of our outreach when we're out in the community and out in your school. They'll come to your school and do a talk. Unfortunately, not for the past 2 years because of the pandemic, but generally they'd come out to your school and talk about their experience, the same as Richard is going to today. They help us host an enhanced open day. So we have open day in November. We invite schools specifically to come and meet with our ambassadors and have open day with a little bit extra. We have ambassadors who come to our Here and There talks and talk about their experience there as well. And so we'll be looking forward to doing that again this November. So without Richard, we wouldn't have and all of Richard's colleagues and volunteers, we wouldn't have such a great outreach program to offer. But also Maynooth University has a Maynooth University Student Experience Award that Richard can apply to, that verifies all of the work that he's done, that acknowledges all of his contribution, and it gets acknowledged on his degree. It's called a transcript, the record of your degree that you give to an employer. It's acknowledged on that he's got the University Student Experience Award, and employers are looking for students to do extra activities because it means that you're bringing extra skills and experience with you into the job, not just your degree. So it's something to consider, volunteering as well. And it's a great way to make friends and meet new people as well. So the one thing that there is a financial support associated with the higher education access route. So the higher education access route is an entry route into third level, but it also comes with some post-entry supports. The disability access route is slightly different. The DARE program, it is an access route. It doesn't come with post-entry supports because all students with a disability have a right to apply for disability supports. Okay, so here's slightly different in that way from DARE. The most important thing, there's a slight financial support, but it's not large, that comes with here. And it's important to know that here is not the SUSI grant. If you apply to here, you should also apply to SUSI if you think you might be eligible. That's really important to know, that the main financial support for college is SUSI, and SUSI opens up in April every year. Okay, and it's important to get your application in early in the year of your leaving cert so that you will be assessed, because they assess on a first come, first served basis, and you get assessed and that you know that you have your grant well in advance of starting college. It's a lot of weight off your mind. Why should you apply to here? Here runs a reduced points CAO offer in the participating colleges, providing you meet the minimum entry requirements. So Fionnuala and the team in the admissions office would be producing a very important book every year called the Prospectus. And the Prospectus has a list of all of the courses available in Maynooth. But for each course, it will talk about matriculation requirements into the university and then the minimum entry requirements for that course. And so it's really important that you meet those requirements first. And then they will look at your points in terms of making the offer. So the here points works, the reduced points on here works the same way as the CAO. So in each course in Maynooth, for both here and there, we would have a ring-fenced number of places. So if it's an arts course, it's a bigger offering in arts. There's a bigger number of subjects that we offer in arts. So there would be more places in arts than there would be, say, in design innovation, which is a much smaller course. So it's a percentage of all of the courses. We have a ring-fenced number of places. It's places kept just to offer to here students and just to offer to DARE students. The points reduction is the same, works the same in both programs, where I'm just going to throw out numbers off the top of my head, but let's imagine arts was 430 points last year. I know it wasn't. I'm just for example giving a number, but Fionnuala will be able to
338.
338. Okay, so arts was 338 last year. If you apply to here, And after you're assessed, you get a letter to say that you're eligible for here. It's not a guarantee of a place in college. You're competing with other students who are eligible for here, who are applying for, let's say, the arts course at 338 in Maynooth. So it's a smaller pool of students that you're competing with, but it works the same way as a CAO. It's supply and demand the same way. And so if the points are 338 and we're making an offer to a here student, and there's like, say, 10 students competing for one place, we'll start with the students, first of all, that are both here and there eligible. They're prioritized for a place above everybody else. And then they'll look at the here eligible students and they will offer it to the person maybe on 337, 336, 335 to a certain point that we don't go below a certain amount. But, you know, those places will be filled with the people closest to the points. Okay, this is a bit complex and people get confused about how it works. We don't top up your points. It's giving you a reduced points offer. And you still have to work really hard in your Leaving Cert and get the highest points that you can get. The main thing that I can say there is that a lot of students who are here eligible don't need the reduced points offer, but some students do, and it's fantastic that they can get that reduced points offer and have a place in college. So it's definitely worth applying. And then it comes in here with post-entry supports, such as financial, academic, social, and personal. And I'm going to talk about those a little bit later on. So I've just explained this about the reduced points place, and all of this information is available on accesscollege.ie. Okay. So the amount of points for a particular course is dependent on the overall number of places on the course, the number of reserved here places, and the number of here eligible applicants competing for these reserved places. And obviously that can vary every year because, you know, it's with the CAO process. So the main thing, if you remember none of that, the main thing to remember is that you must meet the here income limit and the right combination of 2 indicators to be eligible. Okay, there's about 6 indicators in here. So the questions that you should be asking yourself this year or next year when you're applying: was your household income on or below 45,790, which is in line with the SUSI income levels? Okay, was your household income on or below this in 2020? Next year they'll be asking you about 2021 if you're applying to come to college in 23-24. Do you or your family have a medical card or GP visit card? Do your parents have a means tested social welfare? So they're looking there at your income and where your income source is coming from. And then they move into your parents' employment status. And if you remember the slide that I showed you earlier about the employment status and what an impact that can have on people. And then they're looking at whether you went to a DESH school, so the kind of resources that you might have had at school. And then they're looking at what area you lived in. But what people tend to do is they look down this like a checklist and go, I meet this, but I don't meet that, so I won't apply. And there are a lot of the queries that we would get into the office are people wondering if they should apply if they don't have, for example, a means tested social welfare card. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't apply. The main question to ask yourself is, do you meet the income limit? And then answer every one of those questions as best you can on the application form and let them decide if you're eligible or not, because you won't really know if you might not know if you live in an area, for example, of concentrated disadvantage. That is so nuanced that the best example I can give is, say, the South Circular Road, Rialto. One end of Rialto is near Ringsend. Yeah, Ringsend. No, this is my lack of geography. That's ridiculous. But I've obviously given this example. Right, one end of it is Dolphin's Barn. The other end is Harold's Cross. Mixing up my city now. You know I'm not from the city. One end is Dolphin's Barn. The other end is Harold's Cross. And so one end can, you know, to be quite disadvantaged, considered quite disadvantaged. One end could be considered quite affluent. And it's literally down to nearly a lamppost how nuanced it is. So you just put in where you live and they'll decide. They use a lot of the assessment tools that they would use for the national census to determine these things. So apply and give yourself a chance. It is good to have that opportunity to compete for a reduced points place in college, an extra, you know, opportunity to get a place in college. So talk to your parent or guardian. It's really important that you talk to whoever is your main support in your life. When you're doing important things and making big decisions, talk to them and get their advice. You will need to talk to your parent or guardian when you're filling out the form, because they'll be able to tell you the specific job title and things like that that are really important for when they're trying to code you for some of those indicators of eligibility. So how do you apply? You apply to the CAO like everybody, like for all your courses on the 1st of February. Review the HERE handbook with your parents and guardians and supporters and your guidance counsellor in the school. Complete all of the elements of the online HERE application by the 1st of March in the year that you're applying. And then all of the supporting documentation has to be in by the 15th of March. So anybody who's applying this year, are now trying to get their documentation in time for the 15th of March. So when you fill out your course choices on the CAO, there's a box to say, do you want to be considered eligible for here? And there's another one that says that once you considered eligible for there. You just tick the box. You can tick both boxes if you're applying to both. And if you're applying to both and eligible for both, again, you will be prioritized for a place above everybody else if you meet all of the criteria for the course, and also the correct, points. You get close to the points. But if so you tick that box, it opens up a whole new application form where you put in all of the details in terms of here about your financial situation. If it's there, it's about your disability and the impact of your disability. And then by the 15th of March, you have to provide supporting documentation. In the HERE program, it's financial documentation, depending on, where your source of income for your house comes from. When you fill in the form, it does send you a checklist at the end, based on the answers that you gave, exactly what documents you need to supply. So that's super helpful that it does that. To know what documentation you need, you fill in your HERE online application form. There's a checklist at the end. The checklist tells you what documents you need. And the advice is start gathering well before the 15th of February. Ideally you'd be looking at the information as soon as the CAO opens in first semester, before Christmas, and then you'd have all of Christmas, because you'll be going into your mocks and leaving cert year very quickly after Christmas, and you don't want to be stressed out chasing up documentation and trying to do your mocks at the same time. So the earlier you start, the better. There is an application advice information session delivered every year by all of the colleges. It's in the last couple of years, it's been delivered online, and it's been very successful. And some of the recordings of this year's session is available on accesscollege.ie. That might be a good video also to look at too, just hear some of the questions that applicants had and learn from some of the responses as well. So the deadlines are very important, that you meet those deadlines, that you won't be considered if you submit anything late. And you can only be assessed on the information that you supply. So it's your responsibility to provide as accurate and clear information as you can, and to give exactly the documentation that you're looking for. Okay, and again, as we keep reiterating, it's really important to gather your documents early, because it can take a while for revenue to send items back to you. It can take a while for social welfare. You won't be the only person looking for this information from them. Okay, CAO opens on the 5th of November, so that's a good time. Or just take it that from November, you can start applying to the CAO, and you can start filling in your HERE and DARE information, and get ahead of yourself, so you're not stressed out after Christmas. So our top tips are: study the handbook really carefully, complete the online application accurately. The handbook basically has screenshots of the whole online process, so you can do it as a dry run really before you fill anything in online. You can go online, save your application and go back to it, so you don't have to do it all in one go. And we recommend that you take your time, and you have lots of tea and chocolate biscuits and whatever it takes to get you through filling in the form. It's good to be slow and steady. Is really important with any kind of form filling. It's really important that you give an accurate description of your parental occupations. You do need to sit with them and find out what is it that your parent and guardian did. So working in a shop is a very broad description. Owning a shop, is one occupation. Being a shop owner, being somebody who's a part-time, shop assistant is very different to being a shop owner. And that's why it's really important to have the correct title for how they code for occupation. If you remember that they're looking for occupations that might be a barrier to students progressing on. So send good qualities of all pages of the correct documents, and submit all supporting documentations requested. So it's really important that you take your time, and that's why I'm saying doing it early, because if you rush at something at the last minute, it's likely you could fly something off a photocopier and you can blur the edges of it, or you could miss a page, something gets stuck and jammed and get ripped or whatever, or you could miss that you haven't put everything in. So it's really slow and steady wins the race at getting this application put together, particularly with the supporting documentations. Submit the correct revenue documents. So if they ask, for example, for a statement of liability, or if they ask for, the social welfare form, and there's a social welfare form that you can pull off the back of the HERE information book and get it, stamped, so you're getting exactly the information that they're looking for. If they ask you for that, don't give them something else. Give them exactly what's on the checklist, exactly the year that they're looking for, and exactly the page that they're looking for. Keep proof of postage is really important, because human error can happen, and something can go down to the CAO, fall off somebody's desk, and they'll say, we can't assess you because we didn't receive that. But you've got proof. You took a list of everything that you'd put in. You got if you send a stamped addressed envelope or a card in with your CAO application, they'll stamp it when they receive it. And if you have a list on it, I've sent the page 2 of the form 6, and they've ticked that they've received it, that's your proof. You can photocopy that and send it down and say, no, you did receive it. And it's really important to meet the deadlines. And you can get a receipt from the post office as well. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to get, register the post or anything. Just send it down and ask them for a receipt that you've posted down, and you have that as well. And never send down the original copies. Always send a photocopy. Keep the originals for yourself. You'll need them again for your SUSI application, but you'll also need them if you need to verify that, no, I actually did send it down and I have the proof. And we always say stick your CAO number down on every page, because that's your unique identifier. If a page gets mixed up with somebody else's application, they'll be able to find it and put it back in with your bundle. In the unlikely event that could happen, but we're all human. The most common reason for ineligible applications to hear in 2021 was because the applicant submitted the wrong revenue document. So here seeks financial documents for 2020, a statement of liability or self-assessment or a letter of notice. So the financial information that they look for is always the year before, because that's what revenue works off. Okay. And so it's really important that you don't send in something for like 2019, because that's all you could find at home, because you're rushing at the last minute and didn't get a chance to chase up a revenue, or it didn't come in time or whatever. It's really important to send them exactly what they're looking for and on time and meet the deadline. The deadlines are very strict. So that's it for the HERE program. DARE is similar in that it was set up as a third level admission scheme for school leavers whose disabilities had a negative impact. So if you have a disability and it is impacting in such a way that it has affected your grades or your attendance at school and things like that, it's had a negative impact on your second level education. It offers reduced points similar to the HERE program that I've just described. For a result of a disability, you've experienced additional educational challenges in your school education. So it's acknowledging that disability can impact on your experience in school and your educational outcomes in school. So there's a long list of disabilities that are eligible for consideration. These again are available in the DARE handbook, and they're available on accesscollege.ie as well to go through. So I'm just going to pause there, let you have a quick look at them before I move on. So it can range from significant ongoing illness to, autistic spectrum disorder, through, visual impairment, physical mobility disabilities, significant ongoing illness, speech and language disorders. So there's a wide range of disabilities that are eligible for consideration. You should have a good look at the descriptions of who should apply online and in the DARE handbook. If your disability has had a negative impact on your educational performance in school, you should apply. You may not be able to meet the points for your preferred course due to an impact of your disability. Again, you should apply. And if you're under 23 years of age on the 1st of January in the year that you're applying, then you're eligible to apply. Okay, then what they're looking for in DARE, so you would have seen the list of 6 indicators of eligibility for HERE. It's different for DARE. They're looking for the educational impact. So they have criteria around educational impact. And then they're looking for the evidence of disability. So the impact that it's had on you and evidence of your disability. So you're from your consultant or whatever. And that is what they're looking for DARE eligibility. So you must meet both the DARE educational impact criteria and the DARE evidence of disability criteria. Okay, you have to provide the required evidence of your disability and provide an educational impact statement from your school to be considered for DARE. And again, we would recommend that you start asking your school for that early on, because you could be one of 100 students in your school that are asking the same, staff member to produce the report. So if you're in early, they'll have plenty of time. They won't be snowed under with a ton of other reports, and you're helping them to get your report. It's entirely your responsibility to get that educational impact statement back from the school and send it. And so we recommend that you don't sort of assume that your teacher is going to send it in for you, or the staff member of the student will send it in for you, or you don't expect them to do it, that you get the report yourself and send it in so that you have it and that it's gone in the envelope. Okay. Has your disability impacted on any of the following or a combination of the following? If you're looking at the impact of on your education, have you received intervention or supports in second level? Has it impacted on your attendance? Has it affected your school experience and your well-being? Has it impacted on your learning or your exam results? Has it caused any other educational impact? And in terms of students with a specific learning difficulty, is it severely impacting on your literacy or numeracy skills? So these again are online for you to go back and reflect on, and they're in the DARE handbook as well. But these are the kind of questions to ask yourself. Should I be applying? Do I have an educational impact? This will help you to unpick that. And if it's a combination of yeses to that, then definitely you should be applying to DARE. How do you apply? Again, you apply to the CAO by the time of 5 o'clock on the 1st of February in the year of application. So the deadlines for DARE and here are the same. Review your DARE handbook with your parents, guardians, supporters, champions, whoever's there that can help you fill in this form and provide the information, and also your guidance counselor in your school. Complete section A of the supplementary information form and apply to DARE by answering yes to question 1. So complete the educational, your information online on the CAO, and then submit by the 1st of March, and submit the educational impact statement, which is what your school fills in, and the evidence of disability, which is what the verification of your diagnosis and the impact from your consultant, by the 15th of March. Now, there's a load of supporting information on what they are and how to go about getting them on accesscollege.ie and in the DARE handbook. Okay. So the deadlines are the same for DARE and here. The closing date for both is the 1st of March. The supporting documents, so the closing date to tick the box online and say, yes, I want to consider it for one or both of these, and to fill in your information in the online form. Supporting documentation then is the 15th of March. So anybody in Leaving Cert this year, that's just around the corner. It's next week. And the notification of eligibility happens in late June. So between March and late June, they're assessing all of the applications that come in. Then they'll notify people if they're eligible or ineligible in late June. There's an opportunity to have that outcome reviewed and appealed in July every year. And that's typically if you think they haven't considered certain aspects, or if you think that they've made a clerical error in how they've assessed your application. And information on that is on accesscollege.ie, how that process works. The here and DARE offers then are made with the university offers in August 2020, in August of the year. And then the college orientations typically happen in late August and early September. And we'd strongly advise that at that time, when the results come out, the college offers are made, and these orientations happen, that you try not to take the holiday of a lifetime then, that you try to be around then. It's super important because you're going to have tons of questions. And I'm sure Fionnuala's office gets a load of questions at that time of the year. I know we get a load of questions because you get your offer and you want to find out a little bit more about what that means and when everything's happening and when you're going to hear stuff, and what supports now are going to be available for you. Also, for here students, the orientation program that I talked about earlier, Launchpad, is mandatory for you. So it's mandatory that you attend that orientation program in early September in order for you to receive the supports post-entry. If you don't attend the orientation program, you can still take your place in the university, but you won't receive the post-entry supports, because it's the first post-entry support, and it's almost the most fundamental support because it gets you connected to our office, it gets you connected to the university, it shares the campus with you. You get to know the campus, and you get to know people. You get to know you'll have people's phone numbers on your phone for the first day of college. You know exactly where you're going. You'll know where the coffee shops are. You'll know where the library is. You'll just know your way around. It's a really important foundation to starting college successfully. We also offer Launchpad to our DARE students as well, and to all of the students that we support in MAP, but it is mandatory for here students. And there's a reason for that, is to get you connected with the supports and get you feeling confident about coming to college and starting in college. But it's the same for all of the students. So we don't only offer to here students, we offer to all of our students. But it's really important that's a national, all students, no matter what college they're going to, if they've accepted a here place, have to attend the orientation program. So please don't disappear at that time of year. Okay. So it's a really important message that you can apply to both DARE and here, and applicants who are both DARE and here eligible will be prioritised by colleges when allocating those reduced points places. So they'll start with the students who are DARE and here eligible first, and then they'll move down when they're making the offers. So this is a great website, accesscollege.ie. This is what the landing page looks like. So when you type in accesscollege.ie, you'll be brought to a page that looks like this. The yellow button is all the here information. You click on that, it brings you into all of the information about here. The green button is the DARE information. The presentation that I've given you is available for you to take. The Maynooth stuff is not on it, but the all of the information about here that I've just presented is available there under making an application, and the same with the DARE side. The videos are up there. So there's two videos. There's a video in each, in here and in DARE, that explains both of those application processes. So that's a good place to start. after today. Maybe we're going to have a look at those videos, and then also the recordings of that application information session that took place in January will take place in January every year, and pretty quickly after Christmas, to support you with your application. And if you've got questions, that we were all there in the background answering questions the way Fionnuala is today. And so there's a whole team of people from around the country who promote these in working in access offices. So there'll be people presenting about them, but you can also ask questions and in real time get an answer to it. So they're really effective. And so you'll see the recording of this year's one, and it might help you understand these a bit more. And then you can always contact online on the information booklets for Darren. Here's a full list of all of the participating colleges and our direct emails to contact us. And I have ours here at the last slide for you. So I'm going to hand over to Richard now and let him talk about his university experience before I talk about the supports that we offer.
Thanks, Gemma. Yeah, hi, I'm Richard. I'm a final year computational thinking student, and I'm going to be talking about my experience at Maynooth. Before that, I'm from Castleknock in Dublin, and I went to secondary school in Castleknock Community College, where I did my Leaving Cert in 2019. So towards the end of school, I thought about sort of what I wanted to do afterwards. And the main thing I was thinking about was that I enjoyed maths and studying maths. So I thought about studying that at university. And one of the first universities that I considered was Maynooth, as I have an older brother studying at Maynooth. It's also a very nearby college. I commute to there every day. And so yeah, that's where I started looking. And the course that I went to open days there and visited the campus, and I heard about the course Computational Thinking, which is a combination of pure maths, computer science, and philosophy. And that really interested me. I enjoy my course quite a lot. It's a bit difficult, but it's something that I'm very interested in, and so I enjoy studying it. I'm in my final year of it now, and I continue to enjoy studying maths, and I'm thinking about doing postgraduate study of maths. I know other people who've done my course have gone off and have gone to postgraduates, and other people have just gone straight into working in computer science industry in places like Google or SIG. The course is it's a 3-year course, and there is sort of an optional year out between second and third year where you can work for a year, or you can go abroad. I know I did not do that, but someone else who was in my year last year is currently studying abroad in France. And I know in the year ahead of me, someone else went off and studied maths in Vienna.
Fantastic. That's really great. Thank you so much, Richard. So how did you decide on computational thinking in the first instance? It's quite nuanced, as you said.
Yeah, I was just looking at different maths-based degrees. That was the one that stood out to me most. It's studying pure maths, which is as opposed to applied maths, which is more like calculations. Pure maths is all theorems and proofs. And yeah, there's 2 sort of main pure maths degrees in Maynooth. There's computational thinking and theoretical physics and maths. And so I was looking at both of those, and the computer science appealed to me slightly more.
Fantastic. And you said that you might go on and do further study in maths. So is really that where your strength lies within the course?
Yeah, the maths is definitely what I enjoy the most. I'm in so the degree in final year has a lot of module choice, and between the different subjects like maths, computer science, philosophy, and I've mostly picked maths modules this year because that's my preference, but also maths, statistics, computer science, and philosophy modules. But
I know that the course is really tailored for those who like to solve problems, problem solvers. So what kind of problems would you tackle? What kind of issues would you debate during your time on the course?
Yeah, so the computer science part of the course, it's very much focused on sort of algorithms and logic, I suppose. And then, yeah, as I said, the pure maths is about theorems and proofs. And then in philosophy.
What do you decide? What do you chat about in philosophy?
There's even more logic,
Okay.
as well as we cover topics of epistemology and analytic philosophy, which is, how would I describe it? Epistemology is studying knowledge and asking questions about like what it means to know things, and analytic philosophy is studying language and the meaning of language.
Very good. Do you find the philosophy side of the course interesting?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a little bit smaller. There's not as much philosophy as there is maths and computer science.
Sure.
But yeah, I've enjoyed all the philosophy modules that I've done.
Fantastic. And are there any particular societies that are linked to the computational degree? And do you do them? And what's involved?
Yeah, there is indeed a computer science society, there is a math society, there is a philosophy society. I've been involved in all three at various points. I'm mostly involved in the computer science society.
Great.
That's they sort of meet up, and they will run like programming competitions, they run like talks on different topics. Then the math society would do similar. They would like organize like talks on different maths topics, or try to organize maths competitions.
Very good. Do you ever partake in those?
I've partaken in a good few program competitions. I've never done a maths one before.
Okay. And how do you fare? Do you fare okay?
I do it more so for fun than for like competitiveness.
Sure.
So I do like okay for someone that's not aiming to be like the very best.
Winning. Yeah, okay. Fantastic. And is it a good social life? Did you find it easy to make friends when you came to Maynooth?
Yeah, I think when I first came, most of my friends I met did come from those societies, as well as, in addition to that, I'm also involved with the Access Society and other access things. Yeah.
And Gemma mentioned that you were a MAP ambassador. So what does it mean to be a MAP ambassador?
Yeah. So when I came into Maynooth, because I'm an access student, I went through the Launchpads orientation that Gemma was talking about. And I met, and that orientation is done by MAP ambassadors, who are like current students that I got to meet and spend time with and learn about Maynooth from them. I actually met someone doing my current course at that Launchpad, so I got fantastic. To like talk to him and like find out all the secrets on the
very good. He gave you a heads up, did he? Or she? Yeah.
He did. So yeah, and then in first year I became a MAP ambassador, and so started working on, and so sorry. So that was Launchpad 2019, and then for Launchpad 2020, I was an ambassador for it. So that one was online, so it was different like talks and like different like chats. So I got to talk to first years about like the different like different like disability sports in Maynooth, and like my experience with them, and like how they can access those.
What advice would you give to students who might be attending here today, who might need to link into the service but might be shy about doing it, Richard? What would you say to them?
I say the access office is like very friendly, very easy to go into. It's something that I would go into like a fair amount for access supports, and even for non-access supports, because they also, like, in addition to being great sports, they have very good knowledge of just like sports in general in Maynooth. And so, I could go to there and say like, oh, I need help with this issue, and they're like, okay, we can help you, or we can help you get someone else to help you.
Fantastic. They're amazing. They're a wealth of knowledge. That's really interesting. Thanks so much. And you've obviously hugely, I think you're being modest, because I don't know if very many people know that the points for computational thinking, for as long as I've been at Maynooth, have always been at the extreme end. And I know in 2021, there were 520 points. So you're a clever guy, and congratulations to you. But how do you manage your time between the study, the demands, I suppose, of study, and maybe having a social life and doing all the societies, the computer science and the maths, etc.? How might you give a bit of advice to students on how to manage that, how to balance it out?
It's definitely something I found a little bit tricky. But like I think definitely that sort of you have sort of like your first year to kind of like focus on that and kind of work that out. To like try to you might not get it right at first, but like trial and error, and then like by the time you're in like second year, third year, fourth year, if you're doing a 4-year degree, you'll have it like done very well, and you'll be like well able to like balance studying and non-studying.
Yeah, navigate your time. That's really good advice. So it is very different to going to secondary school. It does take a little bit of time to settle in and get the lay of the land, and just to kind of maybe settle into doing a subject you mightn't have done before, and I suppose not to expect things to go swimmingly right from the get-go. And if you do feel like you need support, as Richard said, it was very, very valid point that the Access Office are phenomenal. Someone has just popped in there, Kay, you would like to know where the Access Office is. So where is it based, Richard? Where can a student find the Access Office on campus?
Yeah, the Access Office is based in the Map Lodge, it's on the North Campus of Maynooth, between the sort of education building and John Hume buildings. It's definitely a very important place to learn the location of. It's actually also attached to the Student Services building, which has its own whole range of supports.
Fantastic. I'm going to give a call out to my colleague there, Deirdre, who might be doing a Carvel inhalation because she's a bit of a chesty cough at the moment. If she could find a link to the campus map and just to pop it in there if she gets 2 minutes, and if not, if she's tied up, I will pop it in there afterwards. But a question has come in actually in relation to that, if I could just deviate to it. Now, I won't go into the specifics because, as you said, some people pop in questions that might be a little bit private. So to retain the privacy, but I think the general sense of the question is worth knowing about. So if a person has a particular disability, let's say, and they're not sure that they would qualify for DARE, but would need some support and help just in terms of focus and managing their time and things that we were talking about, just the settling in period. How can they link into the Access Office, Gemma?
I say to all students who've got a question, pop over, because we're signposters. So we won't say, sorry, I don't recognize your name, because we have so many students who might not recognize everybody's name that comes in anyway, but we are a welcome space. And we have a lovely team that work on the reception desk that'll meet you first. And if they can, so what we try to do is to make your life as easy as possible. Whoever you are, we often get people looking for buildings, particularly the first few weeks when people are physically on campus who haven't done our awesome Launchpad orientation program. But people who are a little bit lost sometimes make their way in, because we've got a reception desk and we're near the main thoroughfare, and you can easily kind of make your way to our building or be directed to us. So if you're not sure where JH1 is, which is in the John Hume building, you can come to. You don't have to be supported by MAP to come to MAP. But if you're not sure if you could be supported by MAP, we're looking actively to support students. So it could be with a quick conversation, we realize actually you're somebody who should be linking in with us a bit more often and, availing of our supports. And if not, we know exactly who else on campus. So the one thing that I would say is with the HERE program, for example, all of the supports that come post-entry with HERE are available across the university for all students anyway. We just have a targeted specific set of them for HERE students, but they're available to all students in the university anyway. So even if you're not, directly connected to MAP, we will make sure that you know where the student budgeting advisor is. We'll make sure that, so even when you come in and you might be asking for directions, you might say, do you also know that all of these other supports are available to you? So we're all the time trying to make sure that you know what supports are there. So I'd say if in doubt, come to MAP, and even if not in doubt, come to MAP anyway, just in case, because there could be a support that you're not aware of that we can tell you about. So we are very keen to
Fantastic. Is the student help desk in your student services office? Building?
So we're a little wooden building. We're directly at the back of John Hume. So if you come straight through John Hume and out the other side, you'll get to us. And you can't miss us. We have a flag usually flying outside our office. It's designed by students for us. But directly attached to that is student services building. And in that building, you would have the student help desk. There's another one in John Hume as well. And you would have so the student hub, I think it's called within student services. You've got the medical center, so you have the doctor and the nurse. It's appointment only since COVID, but they are there. And you have the student counselling service. You've got the student budgeting advisory service, the student support officer, and the director of student services. They're all there to support you as well. And you could be with the student budgeting advisor, and something will flag for her, and she'll say, actually, you should connect with MAP. There might be other supports that they can. So we're always sending students over to each other to make sure that you get the full range of supports that are available to you in the university. This might be a good time. Will I flick on to some of the slides I have about support, Fionnuala?
Yeah, fantastic.
Questions.
Yeah, if actually it will take 2 seconds while you're queuing that up, Gemma. I think if anyone has any other great questions like that, folks, please do either pop them into the chat or pop them into the Q&A box. And look, if I see that the information is maybe too private, I certainly will not be divulging, but the general sense of the question, people might be interested in knowing all about. Thanks so much to Deirdre, who popped in the campus map there. Excellent. Thank you so much. So yeah.
And if there are questions that maybe are a bit more sensitive, I'm happy for you to send, to relay them to me, and we can contact people later, offline, like tomorrow, Monday, sorry.
Gemma.Lynch, isn't it?
Yeah, Gemma.A.Lynch, because there is another Gemma Lynch in biology. So
well,
the right Gemma Lynch gets your question.
What's happening at mu.ie? Gemma.A.Lynch at mu.ie. I've popped that in there. I hope that's correct, Gemma.
That's it, Gemma.A.Lynch at mu.ie.
Great.
Perfect. So we talk about the supports that are on offer in MAP and indeed across the university. Like what I was saying, this is supports for all students in Maynooth across. They come under these 5 headings: personal, academic, financial, social, and technological. Okay, so personal supports within MAP would be that other half of our team who are the advisors. There's somebody for you to touch base with, every day of the week. So on any given day, you might not be regularly popping into the advisory. You might just have a quick question and you'll fire it off in an email, or you might want to talk to somebody and just, make an appointment and sit with one of the team and find out about all of these supports and how they're going to work for you. It could be, you could come into us and you're concerned about, meeting a deadline for an essay, but we'll still ask you the wider questions. We're still all the time looking to say, okay, so that's an academic support. We can put you in touch with the Writing Support Centre. In every department on campus, we have what's called a MAP academic advisor. So we have a lecturer in each department who volunteers for the year, but often they stay on for years and years and years, to be a single point of contact for you in that academic department, where they'll know that you're registered with the disability officer. They'll know that you're supported by MAP specifically, and you don't have to go in and say your story every time you're going in of, I'm impacted in this way. They get it, they understand it, and you could just say, I'm having difficulty with my essay, and they'll start to talk about supports. And it might be that there are other staff in the department that are teaching you, that are lecturing you, but they will link in with them for you, so you don't have to go around everybody. So you have a single point of contact in each academic department, which is brilliant. They're called MAP academic advisors. So while you have advisors on the team in our office who look at the whole picture of your supports, the MAP academic advisors are lecturers in your department that they're support you with any queries you have about your course or how you're getting on or those kind of questions. There's financial supports. So like I said, there is a small financial support for here students, targeted mostly at first year, because that's when the biggest, shock of the financial costs of college. You have to get used to a new commute, maybe that's costing you. You might have walked to school before, now suddenly you're having to get 2 trains to get here, or whatever, a train or the bus, and that's an extra cost you wouldn't have had before. So there's the here financial support that helps with some of that. There's the SUSI, which is the main financial support for college, and definitely you should be applying for it in April in the same year that you're applying to come to college. It'll open in April and you should apply then. Some people we come across make a mistake and think, sure, why would I apply for SUSI? I don't even know if I've been offered a course yet. And then they're not applying until August, and it can take all of first semester, their first term in college, before they get, a response from SUSI about whether or not they've got the grant. And that's a whole 12, 15 weeks with no cash, additional, financial supports. We also have the student budgeting advisor in the university based in student services. There's two ladies there, Ruth and Jenny, and they're there to talk to, if you just want to know, look, I'm getting the Susie grant. I want to make sure I maximize how I'm spending that, and I'm spending it wisely. I'm not going to spend a load of money in the first couple of weeks on things I didn't need to spend it on, then I have nothing for the rest of term or whatever, or I'm worried that this isn't going to meet all of my needs. There's other financial supports like the Student Assistance Fund that they'll talk to you about, where students can apply to that, if they're in need of additional financial support, because we don't want your financial situation to be the reason that you can't come to college. We don't want you making the decision, I'm not going to come down on the bus because I can't afford it, so I'm going to miss 6 classes, because you're just, going to run the risk of falling behind academically. So it's really important to get to know the student budgeting advisor. Again, this is a lot of information, and for students, we're a single point of contact. Again, a map to point you in that direction, or if you make your way to her, she'll point you back down to us as well. So there's a ton of financial supports there. I'm just giving you the main ones. The social supports are exactly what Richard was talking about. It's the clubs and societies. It's, we always say, if we have, a student, I used to be an advisor, and this is a new post for me to be in outreach. And when I was an advisor, if a student came in and said, I'm just feeling, it's very hard to get to know people. Like, you sit in a lecture and you'll turn around and say, hello, how are you, to somebody. And it's just a bit awkward. And I don't feel like that's how I'm going to make friends here. How do I make friends in college? And we'll say, first of all, join the Access Society, because they're all MAP ambassadors and they've all been trained to be friendly. 90% of the Access Society, isn't it, Richard, are all MAP ambassadors, because the Access Society came out of the MAP ambassadors. They had such a good time on Launchpad, and they didn't want that to end, that they set up the Access Society about 8 or 9 years ago, to keep connected and keep the crack going. So clubs and societies, the MAP ambassador, volunteering itself, we don't just ask Richard to do, and all of his colleagues to do, a lot of activities for us. We try to make sure that we're giving something back and providing social opportunities. So we're having Rory O'Neill come down in a couple of weeks to just talk about, he's got a lot of activism and volunteerism in his background. He's going to talk to us about that. We're having a coffee morning after St. Patrick's break. The students are on study leave next week, and when they come back, we're hoping to have a coffee morning just to sit and have, and we're just thrilled to be able to do it in person, because everything else we did was online for the past couple of years. So a lot of social, just to keep us all connected. And then technological supports, or anything from across campus. We have a whole ton of licenses. I was just on a training course before I came to do this talk, where a colleague who runs our technological training program, Technological Transitions, TTP, we call it for short. And you'll be offered the opportunity to do TTP if you come to Launchpad. If you're in first year, we run it out throughout the whole of first semester, and we run it again in second semester to make sure if you miss it the first 2 times, you can do it the third time. And we also offer it as part of the main university orientation. We run sessions of TTP as well. And it's basically everything from apps to software to programs to what's on Microsoft Teams, which is the operating system that we use in the university, that can make your life easier for studying. So how to work smarter, not harder, from note taking to preparing presentations to thinking out essay concepts, mind mapping and all that sort of. There's a ton of software. There's software that you can dictate your emails to, and it'll write your emails for you. There's software that will and that's just generally available to all students, and this training program helps you to learn about them, and you can do it more than once, because you won't get it all the first time. And then specifically, Rushi, my colleague, is there for students with disabilities who might need additional technological supports. And so when they meet with their disability advisor and they're chatting through what their support needs might be, the disability advisor might make an appointment for them to see Rushi, and Rushi will then talk about specific technological supports that might help them to navigate their day and the demands of college as well. So personal, academic, financial, social, and technological supports. Also, on the technological side, as a result of COVID, the government made available to all HEIs a specific fund of money to provide laptops to students, because it was such a quick pivot to working online. And we now have what's called the laptop loan scheme. So you apply to it through the student budgeting advisor. And, so if you needed a laptop for college. And so there's various ways that works. Do you need me to speed up, Fionnuala?
No, you're fine. No, absolutely. I'm just going to come in on that. Actually, on Wednesday, myself and and Jennifer Bolton and Judith, my other colleague, we did an MU Live on student budgeting and all of those things, which is available online actually now. If people go to mu.ie/MU Live, I think it's backfilled there. I hope I'm right. I think Deirdre will correct me if I'm wrong. The recording should be there. I'm just going to launch this poll before we go. And I hope that's not too mad that I'm launching a poll. But everything there was absolutely excellent. Thank you so much, Gemma. Extremely informative presentation. And to Richard as well for chatting to us about his experience and his experience with the MAP office as a DARE student and how he's getting on extremely well. So successful. So do get in touch. And if we can't help you, then we know who will be able to help you. And I think that's the general message. Isn't that it, Gemma?
Exactly.
So I've launched the poll there, guys. Can you see it? Did I launch that at all?
I can see it.
I did. Okay, fantastic. So would people attend an on-campus open day? 100% said yes. Amazing. Because lucky for you, we have one coming up on the 30th of April and we're dying to see people. And myself and Deirdre are just in the process of organising some brand new Maynooth University merch for the occasion. So if nothing else, you should come down. I know, obviously, we're chock full of information. You could come down and see the campus. Have you heard of Here or Dare before this evening? 100% said yes. Amazing. And how many people are doing their Leaving Cert this year? Interesting. Only 33% are. And 67% are not. So I'm assuming they're either, what can I assume from that? I wouldn't know. Sure, how would I know? Maybe they're fifth years, maybe they're parents, maybe they're guidance counsellors. It's very interesting. So I'm going to end that poll there now. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. There's the results there popped up on the screen if you want to know all about it. Folks, Gemma has her email there. I popped my email in. If you have a general admissions query, it's admissions@mu.ie. So please do get in contact. You can chat to current Maynooth students. You might not be interested in computational thinking necessarily per se, even though it sounds amazing, but you might be interested in one of the other multitude of degrees that we have at Maynooth. So find someone, find a current student and you can chat to them. And as I said, look, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And thank you so much for your time here today. The recording should be available on Monday. Does uni use Moodle or Teams? It uses Moodle as a student, doesn't it? I mean, we use Teams as admission staff and as office staff. As staff, we use Teams for meeting and we use Zoom like today, but it's mainly Moodle for the students. Am I right?
Yes, some students will have, you can do an MS Teams call where you'd see, if you're not coming in person, but an advisor, so we can use it that way. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. That's it. Listen, you've been amazing. Thanks so much, guys. And thanks to Deirdre everyone as well. Bye.
Thanks, Deirdre and Fionnuala. Thanks, Richard.
Bye.
Have a good
Take care. Bye.